ARCA Menard Series. All the teams are ready.
Long day, have fun. Let's go win this.
Green flag is in the air.
This is a great opportunity for these guys to showcase their talent.
It's so much more intense than I anticipated.
We had trouble.
Oh, a little retaliation.
We got a big crash. This is a big one.
We did it! Yeah!
I think we're going to see them in victory lane many more times.
I'm so happy.
We are ready to go racing. And what a glorious evening it is in Brooklyn, Michigan, as we welcome you to Michigan International Speedway. It's time for the ARCA Menard Series to tackle this beautiful 2-mile oval. This is the Henry Ford Health 200. The ARCA Menard Series has a little bit of everything from 18-year-olds like Andres Perez to 61-year-olds. But the stars of the series are here tonight. We welcome back Gus Dean, starting on the front row this evening, and Connor Mosack, the lone JGR car in the field, trying to get his first win in the series, and young Jake Finch. He's ready to do business, showing a little personality. He's ready to go. But they're all chasing this man, 18-year-old Jesse Love. What a season it has been for Jesse Love. We're officially at the halfway point of the season, 10 races in, 10 races remaining. We've seen 6 different winners. Greg Van Alst back at Daytona, but Jesse Love has won 50% of the races with 5 wins. So the question remains, can he do it again? I think we've said everything that we could possibly say about Jesse Love. And we welcome you in. I'm Jamie Little. He's Phil Parsons and Trevor Bain. And Phil, every single week I feel like we're talking about Jesse Love. But I just wonder, do you see any weaknesses with this team, with this driver?
Not at all. We knew coming in that his credentials were pretty impeccable. 2-time West Series champion. He'd already won a couple ARCA races in a limited schedule. And some of the races that he's won, as a matter of fact, 3 of the 5 that you mentioned, he'd never been to those racetracks before because they're intermediates and super speedways, and he wasn't old enough last year. So even when they have a bad day, they end up with a top 5 finish. So I don't think there's any situation where Jesse Love is going to be in trouble. He's only the second driver in the last 20 years to win half of the first 10 races. Ty Gibbs was the other one. It's pretty good company.
Yes, that man is very good himself. And Trevor, you look at this 2-mile oval, it's like, okay, hammer down, big speeds, just turn left. But there's some challenges these teams are up against tonight.
Yeah, mostly presented by that high speed that you have here. This track being 2 miles is so much bigger than the tracks these young drivers are used to. You mentioned, even Jesse Love wasn't on big tracks until this year. So when you go to Michigan and you have that speed, it puts a lot of aero dependence on the car. You got to find clean racetrack. You got to move around. You see the resin on the track. You want to go search that out a little bit. Maybe you're on the top. And when you do catch somebody, Phil, you don't take every run. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but you got to be calculated with your passes. If you get hung side by side with somebody, you're side drafting down the straightaway, it presents opportunity for somebody else to put you 3 wide and get by you.
Yeah, and restarts are so critical, too. We had a late restart last year. Corey Heim, who had the dominant car, Billy Venturini, his car owner, said that cost us the race. They didn't do very well on that restart, so you have to be careful of that as well.
Okay, so Jesse Love didn't get the pole. That's not something we've seen a whole lot this year. But is there anybody in the field that you guys are watching that you think could stop the 20 team?
Well, there's 4 drivers that are putting up a good fight already in qualifying. But I look up there at the front row, Andres Perez. He's on the pole. He's in the car that won here last year, and he was really fast at Pocono. Right up until that last restart where he got some damage on the left front fender, I thought he was going to have a shot at Jesse Love. So I look at him, maybe somebody like Connor Mosack you mentioned in a JGR car. They've really been working on their bigger track program. There's plenty of guys that can contend for this win.
Chris Wright is in a Venturini car. He finished second in Mid-Ohio last year with a different car, so I think he's primed. He has enough experience in an Xfinity car and a truck and ARCA to maybe contend today as well.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see what these guys have. Those Venturini cars are so tough to beat, but Jesse Love is one of them, so we can't wait to see what happens. As you see Chris Wright, I know he mentioned how excited he is for this opportunity and such great equipment to see what he can do.
Let's don't forget Frankie Muniz, too. Obviously, this young man, while he's 30-some years old, when we talk about 18-year-olds, he's not necessarily one of the youngest guys, but he's never had hardly any racing experience, and he came in. He's had 4 sixth-place finishes. He's dying to get that top 5. There he is right there with an onboard. I think he may be able to do it today. Qualified 7th, good run for him.
Well, and he's coming off that electrical issue that he had, so he wants to make up a little bit of time. But the drivers are ready. Let's now go trackside for the command to fire engines.
And now, race fans, here to say the most famous words in motorsports, please welcome the president of Henry Ford Health Jackson, Emily Moorhead.
Start your engines! How about that enthusiasm? I love it. You gotta care, you gotta be excited. We have 100 laps coming from Michigan. Stay tuned, we'll drop the green flag next.
Michigan International Speedway is built for speed. And it is go time. First plot twist is happening right now.
A big crash in the middle of turn number 4.
What a finish.
Welcome back to the Henry Ford Health 200 from Michigan. Well, earlier today, qualifying took place. And the fastest man in the field, we've mentioned him tonight. He's going to be hard to beat tonight in the number 2, the 18-year-old out of Mexico City. It was a great run for him. And he captured the General Tire Pole Award for the first time in his career. And that is the car, the team that went to victory lane last year with Nick Sanchez.
And this is the fastest pole speed of the year, faster than Daytona.
What are they hitting, Phil?
Average is 184 miles an hour, upwards of 190 on the straightaways.
Incredible speeds here. Look how young that driver looks for
He
Rev
is.
Racing.
He is that young.
18 years old. He missed Daytona this year because he was so young. Well, you'll see the Henry Ford Health starting grid in the pylon, but we need to check in with our pit reporter, Miss Heather DeBow. Heather, what storylines are you keeping an eye on tonight?
Well, Jamie, you guys have already talked about which drivers could beat Jesse Love tonight, and the guy that could probably get that done is Andres Perez. Now, he captured his first career pole earlier this afternoon, which gave that young rookie quite the confidence boost. He told me it's really exciting just to see how happy and proud his team was of him, and he said that that gives him the extra motivation to go for a strong finish here at Michigan. His crew chief, Jamie Jones, said he's really been doing a great job every week with improving. He also has been doing great at applying his knowledge quickly and adapting to these racetracks quickly. Now he's coming off of his best career finish of 3rd at Pocono, so we'll see if he can seal the deal here and get his first victory and the first victory of the season for Rev Racing.
Oh, what a big moment that would be. Thank you, Heather. Andres Perez has finished in the top 5 in half of the races this year, so has really been consistent. Well, let's take a look at the track description here, Trevor.
Let's check it out, Jamie. This track is a big one. You mentioned 2 miles earlier. The banking in the corner is 18 degrees, but it is progressive, Phil. That bottom lane has a little bit less, so you want to be careful as you come down onto that. And this doesn't tell us, but we've got 25 feet of resin that they put on this racetrack that will make this groove a lot wider. See how long the straightaways are. Front stretch, 3,600 feet. Feels like forever. As I mentioned earlier, got to time those runs on these long straightaways.
Always wondering on the backstretch when you're going down there and there's not that much banking, how am I going to make this turn at 190 miles an hour?
Or pick the gas back up at 180 miles an hour.
How about the race analysis, Phil?
Yeah, this race is 100 laps, 200 miles. So we're going to have 2 race breaks on or near lap 35 and lap 70. You see our winner last year was Nick Sanchez. And Trevor, the first winner before we were born in 1980 was Joe Ruttman.
Before
Did you
I was
say
born.
we?
You were in that race probably, Phil.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe it was after I was born.
I see what you did there. Well, we have 4 onboards for you tonight, bringing you all the action. And our pole sitter, Andres Perez, the rookie out of Mexico City, is carrying the Richmond water heaters on board.
We're also going to ride along with Jake Finch. This is Reese is on board. Jake has a great qualifying effort. First time ever here at Michigan, qualifying 4th. Looking for a good run in that Venturini number 15.
Hey, look, this next in-car camera is going to get busy, Phil, because this 18 of Connor Mozak, he's going to the rear. He qualified in the top 5, but after some changes, the Sioux Chief onboard is going to have a lot of views of some passes.
We're also going to run along with Frankie Muniz. This is the General Tire onboard. He's starting 7th. Good qualifying effort. 6th place finish 4 different times, and he's looking for his first top 5 here, and he might have a shot at it.
That's right, Frankie Muniz with 7th place starting position. So Andres Perez leading the field to green for the first time in his young career, and he has Gus Dean, a veteran somewhat in the ARCA Menard Series, starting alongside. Green flag is in the air. We're racing at Michigan.
He chose the outside, but that inside wave with the 20 car on the bottom, giving a great shove to Gus Dean out to the lead early.
When Connor Mosack had to go to the back, that opened up that lane for Jesse Love. He was able to pull up a lane, started right behind his teammate.
Jesse Love wasted no time at all. Qualified fifth, obviously had one position handed to him, but he's making the most of it here in third already.
He was ready to go on that restart. You mentioned how important they would be today, Phil, and he, like I said, wasted no time getting the second.
Well, Jesse Love at the last race in Pocono 2 weeks ago, there were some challengers that sometimes were better than the 20, but the 20 is so good on restarts. That's really his bread and butter, and that's what won him that race.
And his crew chief, Shannon Rush, really makes some great adjustments to that car as well. Good battle for the lead here. The draft is going to be so crucial here. I watched this race from last year, and we had 5-6 cars racing together, and the draft just kept them. They run it like a super speedway race, like Daytona Talladega.
Yeah, and I'm interested to watch this two-car Perez at Pocono a couple weeks ago. He wasn't the best on the short run, but he had great long-run speed. So to see this kind of speed this early in the run for him, challenging for the lead, trying to go catch Gus Dean. You see him poking out a little to the left to get clean air on the grill. Interested to see how this thing holds on.
Gus Dean is really interesting. 28 years old out of Bluffton, South Carolina, but this is just his 4th race of the season. So he jumps in and out, and to be able to jump back in the seat and have such speed and just adapt that quickly is impressive.
But he's raced here 3 times and had top 5 finishes all 3 times. So a great racetrack for Gus Dean.
Muscle memory, you're saying? You just hop in and
absolutely.
You right up where you left off.
You just push that throttle to the floor and leave it there.
How about this 18 car? We mentioned starting in the rear. Guess what? He's already inside the top 10. What an incredible job getting through traffic here, finding his way through, finding clean air. You see him again poking out to the left side to get clean air to try to get past the 97 of Kitzmiller.
Connor Mosack already passed half the field here, and we're just working lap number 4, so keep your eye on that car.
Trevor, you mentioned he's one of the guys that can challenge Jesse Love, and even we knew at the time he was going to the back, but I don't think that changes a thing.
Heather, what are they saying on the 18?
Well, Connor Mosack is also racing in the Xfinity race this weekend, and unfortunately, they're going to have to go to the back in that race as well for unapproved adjustments. So this is good practice for Connor for tomorrow, working his way up through the field and traffic in this race. But he was the fastest in practice, and he said, we were pretty fast even though we were a little bit loose. So he felt that they would be in good shape come race time.
Your best opportunity to make passes starting in the rear is on those first few laps. Everybody's grouped up. They're all in dirty air. Once it gets spread out, you saw him kind of struggle passing the 97. He caught him, got position, but the 97 was able to pull down Kitzmiller. Did a good job of slowing down that run down the straightaway. That's when it starts to get frustrating, and you have to be patient because he knows he has a fast race car. Sounds like from Heather, he's going to have to do it again tomorrow.
Look at this battle for the lead heating up. Perez peeking his nose, wants to get around Gus Dean. Gus Dean watching him as they make their way around.
It can be hard to make those passes on the inside, Trevor. We saw that with Connor Mosack. Same situation here for Andres Perez. You have to really time that move, and it's about momentum. I was talking to Denny Hamlin. I said, what's the key to Michigan? He said, momentum. You have to keep that momentum, and sometimes it's hard to do if you try to make a pass on the bottom.
Well, we see him starting to peek out to the outside. He's tried the bottom for a few laps, to your point. Now he's going to work the outside, see if he can carry some more straightaway speed. Eventually he's going to try to find a way to get that clean air, pack air on the 25, and that's what you have to do. You have to at least get your nose to their door, to their number, where you can start that side draft. Until then, they have a complete advantage being in the front, putting dirty air on your car.
Gus Dean continues to lead here, but Andres Perez has just been so impressive, and you look at his finishes at 18 years old. Every week they're finishing. If it's not the top 10, he's certainly finishing in the top 5, but this is the best opportunity he's really put himself in at the start of the race.
No doubt. And if I'm his spotter right now, I'm saying, careful, Gus, don't leave that outside open into turn 1. You saw it right there. Perez almost got to his outside on entry, and if he does that, it's game over for him.
Jamie, you talked about what a great season he's had. And remember, he wasn't 18 years old yet when we went to Daytona. He wasn't able to race down there, and he's put together a tremendous season, -1 race.
And he's second in points right now. He overcame Frankie Muniz, who held on to that second spot for a while. So I know Frankie's thinking about that. He was happy in the second spot. I know Jesse Love is he's checked out what he's been able to do this year. He's got a 69-point lead right now over Andres Perez. But Frankie Muniz just 5 points behind in third right now.
Gus Dean is doing a really nice job taking that outside away from Andres Perez. Andres may run a little bit wider, but Gus stays up just high enough to keep Andres from jumping with all 4 tires up in that resin to the outside of him.
Listen to that throttle time. Unbelievable. Almost wide open around this place. They were wide open in practice, wide open in qualifying. Now as the dirty air comes onto the car, the tires wear out. At some point, you're going to have to start to lift, and that's when you want more downforce. In qualifying, you want all the drag out of this thing, but as it wears out, you definitely want to shift the other way.
Working lap number 9 right now. Gus Dean holding off Andres Perez. Jesse Love back there in third, and Chris Wright fourth. Hey, who's that? Mr. Ty Gibbs won this race a couple years ago in the 18. He's liking what he's seeing from Connor Mosack, moving his way up. What a battle for the lead we have. Jesse Love has entered the fray as Gus Dean continues to lead. Gus Dean out front. Perez took over the lead for a lap, but look at Jesse Love. He drops to the inside, tries to get around the 2. A heck of a battle here at Michigan.
Jesse, he's not satisfied to run behind.
He didn't want to be left out of all the fun here, is what I was going to say. He said, let's make it a party of 3. Now he's going to maybe clear before he gets to turn 1.
Watch Perez fight back now on the outside.
It's almost like a high-speed slide job here. If you're Jesse Love, you got to go and take it away, and he does on exit. Barely clear. Hard for a spotter to call that, but you just got to go for it. Make them check up if they have to and take it.
There's that momentum we were talking about. He had that momentum. He was able to get just in front of Perez on exit. Now he's going to go after his teammate Gus Dean.
And he was able to complete that pass once. We'll see if he can make the same move on the leader here of Gus. Big momentum down the front stretch. That draft, that's a big deal.
Heather, what are you hearing on Jesse Love?
Well, Jesse Love looking good right now, but he's actually under the weather today. A little bit sick for him, so not feeling the best, but it doesn't show behind the wheel. But I was talking to him and Shannon Rush about their season. They've won 50% of the races so far in this first 10 stretch, and they said they're just really on it. And Shannon couldn't really put into words how to describe their communication and just how they work together. He said it's almost as if we will our minds to do what we do and then go out and get the win, as we see him make the pass on the 25 here.
Jesse Love trying to take the lead for the first time ever racing at Michigan. Nose to nose with his teammate at Gus Dean. He thinks more of it there. Look at that lapped car, so close right there for Jesse Love.
We saw that momentum on the high side for Gus Dean work out for him.
Well, and that lap car really broke his concentration and his line. He couldn't hug the bottom. Really, the 20 car of Jesse Love is the only one I'm seeing that's able to wrap that white line down here in 3 and 4. Now his teammate Gus Dean's going to see that, take it away. Look at the dirty air, push him up the racetrack, and he's going to have to go back to work searching for clean air to be able to catch back up.
And that's a teammate.
Yeah, that's right.
Dirtying up the air for him.
You know that's the battle for the win eventually. You've got to keep that track position. Once you go to second, you're at such a disadvantage with that air. And I've talked about it 20 times already, dirty air, but it's so important here. Track position, you mentioned early, is a very big deal. You got to fight for everything you have. Almost like we see Ross Chastain do in the Cup Series. Just watch that mirror, take their line away.
I want to go back to what Heather said and how Jesse Love has been under the weather. I wondered, seeing him on camera today, he didn't look like he was feeling great. I can't imagine what the day has been like. But once you get in your race car, though, right, the adrenaline takes over.
Yeah, especially if he can get the lead away from Gus Dean, then he's going to feel a lot better.
All right, he's going to try to set him up here.
He made this pass on Andres Perez for second on the bottom right here at this end of the racetrack.
A little crossover. Look at the outside.
I think he would like to get to the outside of Gus Dean, but his car is working so well on the bottom of the racetrack.
Side by side, here we go. Can Jesse Love make it stick? Trying to lead. For the second time, he's credited with leading 1 lap so far. Look at how close.
And Perez would much rather help Gus Dean keep the lead than Jesse Love, because if Jesse gets to the lead, it's smooth sailing. He checks out. So you're going to see the two try to push, but it's not enough here. Jesse Love's going to clear for the lead.
Meanwhile, it looks like the 55 of Chris Wright is closing up as well.
Great full-car battle for the lead here. The draft is so important. Again, it's not a whole lot unlike Daytona Talladega, but it's only a 2-mile race. Ooh, did you see Gus Dean get out of the throttle there? You saw the exhaust pipes. I wonder if he had an issue or just maybe felt something in the car handling-wise.
I think it's that aero time. That's the first time he's been in dirty air all day. He's been out front. Car turns great. Get behind somebody. It feels like the right front's falling off of it.
So Gus Dean, you see him, he drops back to 4th now, had that issue.
Connor Mozak in the screen.
Connor Mozak, who started in the back. We told you it only took about 7 laps. He was already in the top 10. Now here he is, top 5.
We saw Chris Wright actually get by Andres Perez and had him cleared and didn't take that spot. You just wonder why he didn't do that. Now he's having to battle him going around lap cars as well. Let's take a look back at Gus Dean. We mentioned coming off of turn 2 that we saw the fire out of his exhaust pipes. You see, he just washed across the back of the 20. Just got really, really tight, it looked like. That's why he had to back off and lost those spots.
And having someone cross your nose on exit is the worst possible position for your car to be in. I learned that lesson the hard way from Greg Biffle. Ran him down from a straightaway, and as soon as I got to him, guess what? He just crossed over my nose on exit. I was in the wall. Nothing I could do about it.
How about the save by Andres Perez? I didn't realize how close he had gotten. That could be one of our Reese's Sweet moves of the race. One of the nominees. Heather?
And Phil, you're exactly right. Gus Dean just came over the radio and said he is too tight in traffic and he just can't protect the bottom. But when he was out front, he was really happy with the car. A few laps prior, before they took the lead from him, he said, it's all good all the way around. I'm just a little snug center exit. So that clean air is where that 25 wants to be for sure.
And we'll have a modified live stop at lap 35. That's when they can come in and make those adjustments. So Dean now, who led 16 laps back in 5th, and Jesse Love, the guy that they're all trying to stop, is out front.
I love what Trevor was talking about with Connor Mozak. Remember, he started at the back of the pack, now within 1 second of our leader, Jesse Love.
That 18 cars gone to victory lane here at Michigan twice in the last 3 years. As a matter of fact, Riley Herbst was one of those drivers. Then Ty Gibbs drove it to victory lane.
He's already caught up to the back bumper of Perez here down the front stretch. Man, that car is so strong to drive from the back like that.
He told us early on he's going to give us a show with that onboard from the back to the front. He certainly has already done that in 24 laps.
See him wrap the bottom here. Remember, it's a little flatter, as you mentioned, down here. Not quite able to clear Perez this time.
Turns so good. Normally to turn like that, you got to be off the gas and on throttle. This Toyota is just wrapping the bottom.
It's a battle for second. Connor Mozak making the move. Does he keep it? Yes, he does. Takes over second.
Take it away.
And that's our leader, Jesse Love. Bottom of your screen. That's how close Mozak is to our leader.
About 6/10 back, but what a race so far. Just staying so close together.
I looked up at the scoring monitor when Mozak got into the 5th spot, and he was 6 seconds behind our leader, and obviously now just about 4 or 5 car lengths.
Talked to Steve D'Souza a little bit this morning. Obviously, he oversees the JGR development program, Xfinity, ARCA, and he just said they're putting a lot of effort into these bigger tracks. We've seen William Sawalich go and battle for wins and run good at short tracks, but this bigger track program with guys like Connor Mozak's got a little bit of work to go. They're showing some strength today.
They sure are. What a great battle here. This is Jake Finch, the 15, leading that battle. This is 7th, 8th, and 9th. Frankie Muniz in 8th, and Jason Kitzmiller, the 97, in 9th.
Frankie Muniz, he's done a nice job of keeping it in the top 10 this season, but he said, I've been so close to top 5. It haunts me in my dreams. I just need to break that plane and get in the top 5. Maybe tonight is the night, but certainly doing a nice job so far.
With the excitement he brought into Pocono last week, I mean, that interview before the race, you thought for sure he was going to have a top 5. And the first start of the race, he gets hit from behind, knocks the battery loose, loses electrical, has to come down pit road. You could just see kind of the wind.
Oh, and they get together.
Looks like he just lost the nose coming off the corner, made hard contact with Jake Finch's left rear quarter.
They're continuing on. Gosh, you were just talking
about
tire going down.
Right front tire flat.
Except wind going out of the sails. This is another big shot for this team looking for that first top 5.
Well, that was his worst finish of the season at Pocono for that issue, and now obviously he's got some damage here. Don't know if that'll necessarily take him out of the whole race.
I'm not sure. That right front wheel, obviously the tire's flat. That right front wheel does not look that askew, so he may be okay. Caution's going to come out. He should be able to get to pit road. You can see. You're exactly right, Trevor. He knows that's on him.
Caution is out for the first time here at Michigan. Let's take a look back at exactly what happened between the 15 and the 30.
Had a good run going, and then just
Jake, I felt like the 15 came down there a little bit on exit.
I don't think Jake actually moved all the way out to the outside wall like Frankie was expecting. Let's take another look at it.
They pinched him really far. That's a little.
I think Frankie was expecting him to take the normal line. You see Jake up there in the white car.
Yeah, if you're Frankie, I don't know how you predict that. Yeah. You know that the guy's going to track all the way out to the wall, and when he turns down here, there's just nowhere for Frankie to go. I don't put any fault on him in that.
I don't either. Initially, it looked like he just lost the nose and ran into him, but it's not quite like that, I don't think. This will be a good view of a good angle right here. Yeah, I think Jake just didn't take the normal line off the corner out to the outside wall.
Nice heads up by Jason Kitzmiller, who was just behind that incident. Frankie Muniz brings it down in his Ford Performance machine.
So important race for Frank. Obviously, it's so important for all the automakers, but Ford heavily involved with this team. And again, this is not going to be a penalty. Any caution flag, you can come and change tires and put fuel in it. We know we're going to have a break here in a few laps, but hopefully they can get their work done here, stay on the lead lap.
And I know he'll be able to continue on, but when you have right front fender damage at a track that's this aero dependent, it's really going to hurt your day. I mean, it's going to be tough to have a top 10 finish with that kind of damage, but we'll see what he can do with it.
These teams have 8 tires, or 2 sets, as we typically say in NASCAR.
I had a feeling that this would bring these other cars on the pit road because they can make it to our next race break from here. So why wait until the scheduled break? Just come in now, get your 4 tires and fill it up with fuel. Then you can go to that, at least to that next break.
And you see our leaders are all in. Jesse Love, Connor Mosack, Andres Perez, Heather.
And as you see in the top of your screen there, Jesse Love, and they opted to come down under this caution. And a few crew chiefs told me earlier today that they might opt to do that early to maybe get track position later in the race if the strategy plays out. So as you see the 20 in the top of your screen, he's making his pit stop. Also the 2 of Andres Perez. No complaints so far over the radio from him, just minor adjustments on the 2, as well as the 18. He was saying he was getting just a little bit free there, so they told him to try to use the fans to help, so they'll make an adjustment to tighten him up.
Remember now, these pit stops look a little casual because these are modified live. You will not lose your position as long as you get done before the pace car comes back around. It'll take at least 2 minutes for the pace car to come back around. You will retain the position as you came down pit road. Now, if you stayed on the racetrack, you would start ahead of all these cars that came down pit road.
You know, one driver that'll be happy for this stop is Gus Dean, who said he just had his hands full with the tight race car as they work on Connor Mosack. Put that car to good use so far early in the race. Under caution for this incident for Frankie Muniz. We'll see how he can continue after this. What a season it has been already, and we're only halfway through, but it's so fun to relive all those moments. But man, I said Jesse Love a lot.
I was wondering if that was a Jesse Love highlight reel or a season highlight reel.
I thought it got stuck, on repeat.
That's right, and he holds up the 5. That was his last win, the 5th of the season, and guess who's still leading? Jesse Love. So he came in and made some adjustments there. And Heather, what'd you hear on the 15?
Well, a slight concern here for Jake Finch. After he made contact with Frankie Muniz, his steering wheel is turned to the left, and he said there's some smoke inside the cockpit, but he thinks it might be from a tire rub, so we'll have to keep an eye on that.
Thanks, Heather. I noticed that he was down there for an extended period of time. Of course, he got together with Frankie Muniz, so both suffered a little damage, but it looks like both can continue as of now.
Yeah, and my concern would be the track bar getting bent. The way that it hit that left rear, you see the left rear is pulled back toward the fender, and if his wheels turn to the left, that track bar could definitely be bent.
So that was not the competition caution. They're going to throw that at or around lap 35. So we're going to drop the green flag, go green again.
For 4 or 5 laps. It's going to be fun.
He took the outside. That leaves an opportunity for Mozak to drive it in deep here on the bottom. See who gets the best restart.
Got a good car behind him, too, pushing with Perez.
Green flag once again. Jesse Love so good on restarts, but Connor Mozak has been a man on a mission. What can he do with it now in the front row? Chris Wright has something to say about it back there in the 55. Driving for Venturini Motorsports. We've seen him in the Truck Series, the Xfinity Series.
It's a real opportunity race for Chris Wright. You mentioned how much he's been looking forward to this race and doing a great job so far.
Yeah, Chris Wright, second spot right now. Nice restart for him. Connor Mozak back to third. And look at Andres Perez in the 2 making a charge back.
He's got that outside on Chris Wright that he wants. Mozak's going to jump up there behind him.
Tell you what, the outside is dominant on these restarts so far. I don't even think you think about it when you get to the choose cone after that one.
This track is just so exciting to watch, these speeds and how close they stay together, the restarts. You got to stay glued to the TV. This is a quick race. Remember, it's only 100 laps, 200 miles for this ARCA Menard Series. Side by side right here.
Connor Mozak had some sort of an issue over in 1 and 2. He lost a lot of ground in several positions.
Look who got around him, Andy Jankowiak.
Yeah.
Haven't talked about him yet tonight.
And he's been solid, been in the top 10 since the start of the race, doing a nice job here. Coming off a top 10 finish at Pocono, his best career finish at Charlotte just a few races ago.
And if you watch the ARCA Menard Series each race with us, we always talk about Andy J. He wears that bandana. He's a pizza delivery guy from Buffalo, New York. And yes, he still does it. And he gets the tips, puts it in the racing jar, and shows up when he can afford to, right?
I hope he gets a lot of tips. What I've ever tipped a pizza delivery guy, I don't think would add up to many sets of tires.
Maybe buy his gloves.
I'm sure he promotes the fastest pizza delivery man around.
That's a solid point. Here's what happened to the 18 of Connor Mozak. You called it, Phil.
Yeah, he was well up into the resin. Again, that's resin up to the top 25 feet of the racetrack, as Trevor was talking about. He's down here on the bottom of the racetrack, battling Chris Wright. That's when he was battling for the second spot.
Yeah, no problem yet. It's when he gets to the outside, later on gets up in the resin, gets loose.
Yeah, Andres Perez goes by as well on the outside.
So Jesse Love continues to lead. Andres Perez, Chris Wright, Gus Dean in the 4th spot, and then Andy J in the 5th spot.
That 18 car is still struggling with loose. We know on the pit stop they put some wedge in it, trying to tighten him up, but still just really sideways here as we see him track out on exit too.
And look at Gus Dean in the 25. He talked about how tight he was, had his hands full, lost the lead earlier. They tightened him up a bit, and he's moving his way forward. As the caution is out, this will be our competition caution. Well, that was fun.
Yeah, it'd be a great opportunity for somebody like Frankie Muniz to work on his car some more. He stayed on the lead lap, was a little bit off the pace, so it'll give Mark Rett and his guys some time to work on this car.
Jake Finch maybe in the 15. Heather just reported on the situation with his car. Something's still a little bit off, but he's shown in the 13th spot right now.
Yeah, and he had already fallen back 16 seconds or so definitely not as competitive as he was before the incident.
But they can have time maybe to set the toe in if that's what it is, or if the rear end is askew, then maybe they can work the track bar and move it back and get it square for him.
So Jesse Love now has led the most laps so far of 18.
But I love it's not been a runaway. He's had some competition. Perez right there with him. Obviously Mosak has been really good. Gus Dean, Chris Wright is having a great run. We thought there would be at least a half a dozen guys in contention for this win, and I think we'll have at least that.
Yeah, a lot of drivers I didn't really factor in. Jankowiak, right. I mean, you're mentioning some names that we didn't talk about off the top of the show, but have a ton of speed here today.
Yeah, Cody Coughlin's doing a nice job also in the 7th spot.
Saw Shannon Rush, the crew chief for Jesse Love, working on that computer. I saw smoke coming out. What do you think he's thinking?
Out of his ears or the computer?
Maybe a little of both.
Yeah, that's right.
But Jesse, I mean, coming into this race, he had led 714 laps this season. He's led at every track except 2. Daytona and Iowa are the only 2 races he hasn't led. So it doesn't matter what you throw at him. Short track, dirt, super speedway, this guy prevails.
And they do such a phenomenal job of adjusting on their cars to the race. Every weekend that I've been a part of the broadcast here for the ARCA races, they might be off a little bit the first run, but by run 2, run 3, they start to get away from everybody because Jesse knows what he needs in a race car, and that's tough to do at a big racetrack that you've not raced that much. You know, how free is too free, and you find that line, but he is finding it really quick, using all of his tools.
They finished 3rd at Iowa, and that's probably the poorest race he had this year. He probably really wasn't a top 5 car, probably for the first half of that race, and Shannon worked on that car with Jesse's speed back, and they got the thing fairly competitive and finished 3rd.
They just have that chemistry that doesn't come along very often. They just understand each other.
Well, and that's so important in this series because you don't have the data that Xfinity and Trucks and Cup, we have SMT data, we talk about it. You are solely relying on your spotter and driver's feedback when it comes to the ARCA series.
See Jake Finchen working on that car after that incident with Frankie Muniz. Try to get her right. Well, we're under caution for the 2nd time. We'll drop the green flag again. See if Jesse Love can hang on for win number 6, or will it be an upset by Andres Perez or someone else? ARC Menards Series Racing on FS1 is brought to you by Menards. Save big money at Menards. And by Bounty. Bounty, the quicker picker-upper. The 42nd race in the ARCA Menards Series here at Michigan International Speedway. There's been a lot of different faces over the years who visited that unique victory lane. It's been special, the names who have etched their name here.
Goes back all the way to 1980. That's Joe Rutman winning the first. How about Bob Keselowski, former ARCA champion, wins here at Michigan? Tim Steele, Frank Kimmel, our 10-time ARCA champion with 2 wins.
Hey, look at that. Got an Earnhardt victory lane. Kerry Dale.
Casey Mears. Parker Kligerman. Look at that.
Who is that? I wouldn't have recognized
like him.
That was a young Parker Kligerman.
And Chris Buescher is a winner. He won here in 2012, the year he won the ARCA Menards Series Championship. And by the way, congrats to him getting that big win last week at Richmond and punching his ticket to the playoffs in the Cup Series.
Ty Gibbs 2 years ago went to victory lane here in the ARCA Series. Nick Sanchez last year in that same car that Andres Perez right now has on the front row.
They haven't lost any speed. They've been so stout tonight. Perez shown as just leading 1 lap, but he's been up there in the top 5 since the drop of the green flag. Of course, started the race on the pole, and right now starting alongside Jesse Love. 40 laps in.
Jesse has Andy Jankowiak, the 73 behind him. Chris Wright behind the Perez on the inside.
Watch this restart by Jesse Love in the outside.
Wow, what a restart. He's going early in the box, which is your best opportunity to catch somebody off guard. But, I mean, a 3-car length jump on the driver right behind him. It's incredible.
How about Mosak? Jumps to the outside of Andy J and grabs that spot.
3 wide on the restart. Andy J, Connor Mosak, Gus Dean.
Connor's not done there. He's going for more, trying to get by Gus Dean as well, and he's got him.
Andres Perez not letting the 20 get out either. He goes side by side. Can he take the lead from Jesse Love?
He wants his spotter to tell him clear. I don't think he can do it.
Not quite clear yet.
Now we're going to see the side draft from Jesse. Perez is going to go back up, put it on his door, and try to get some momentum back into turn 1. See if he can go at him again.
2 18-year-olds battling at Michigan. Heading into turn 1, side by side, neither wanting to let up.
That 2 car is the strongest I've seen it on the bottom.
Here comes the momentum from the high side for Jesse Love.
He's going to put it back on his door and watch it roll back forward. The momentum shift as you side draft. Ooh, almost too close there.
He's got him cleared. Tell him, Spotter. Tell him, Spotter. Clear.
Andres Perez to the front. Jesse Love second, and Chris Wright. He likes what he's seeing just ahead of him.
I feel like I'm spotting right now.
We cleared him. We cleared him for the lead. Jesse Love's going to try to dive to the inside. I don't think he has enough momentum. It was kind of a late move to the inside.
Just wants to get him thinking about it a little bit.
It's like a flashback to last year. The 2, the 20. Who was going to win? Nick Sanchez ended up edging out Corey Heim, who was in the 20.
NDJ trying to make the move on Gus Dean. That's a battle for the 5th spot. Excuse me. Oh, you're not clear.
You're going to get a paycheck for all this spotting you're doing up here.
Hook yourself up to their radios. You've got a nice vantage point here.
Got all kinds of racing on the track. I love when we get a side-by-side because that means there's action everywhere. This 20 car searching. It looks like the 2 of Perez a little better on the short run right now. We saw Corey Heim come on strong the first run, but not Corey Heim, Jesse Love. But see if he can run back down.
Look at Andy Jankowiak on the right side in the 73, the little team that could. He builds his own cars with his buddies, going up against Venturini Motorsports right now, trying to get around Gus Dean and get back into that 5th spot.
Remember at Kansas, Andy Jankowiak blew an engine in practice, and it burnt all the wiring and everything, and the Venturinis told him, anything you need, you have. He wasn't able to fix that car, but the Venturinis, who he's racing with right now, said, we like you a lot. Anything you need, you can have.
Until he passes.
Until they may retract that now.
Incredible family, what they do. Well, we're talking so much about spotters, Heather. What are you hearing?
I'm just trying to keep up with all of them. I've been flopping back and forth between the 73 and the 2. We did hear Tyler Green give the move up, move up, move up on the 2 as you guys were trying to call him clear from the booth. As we see Jesse Love showing another nose here. These are great battles, but the 73 has TJ Majors back up on the spotter stand with him. He's been sick the last couple of weeks, but he's really been working with Andy on that side drafting as well, and they're happy to have him back with the team because he's from Buffalo, New York, just like Andy and the rest of those guys. But they had a great run at Pocono. He said he should be a little bit better this weekend, but this is his first time at Michigan. He said you definitely know you're going fast here because when you get out on the track, this 2-mile track is a lot smaller with these speeds that we have racing these cars here.
Yeah, the spotters are getting a workout up there. There's a lot to keep track of.
They're going to tell Andy J that he's clear of Chris Wright as well. Move Andy J up to 4th.
What a strong run for this team.
And Heather mentioned it, how important it is to have a top-notch spotter for these ARCA Menards guys too. When you come to a place where the Cup cars are, Xfinity cars or trucks, take advantage of those spotters, those guys with experience. They can help you so much.
Yeah, Tyler Green, obviously a seasoned spotter in the Cup Series, out here trying to help some of these young ARCA drivers. As we see right here, another battle, 2 Venturini cars. Gus Dean's going to try to take away that spot from Chris Wright. Not try, he's going to do it.
Beautiful red, white, and blue paint schemes battling for position. Andres Perez continues to lead. Tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern, head over to the ARCA Menards Series Facebook page and X, formerly known as Twitter, at ARCA_racing to vote on what moment you think was today's sweet move of the race presented by Reese's. We've had a few so far.
We have. I really like the job that Kitzmiller did avoiding Frankie Muniz when his right front tire went down. We're going to have some more passes for the lead here that I think may be good nominees.
I was going to say Andres Perez in the 2. He might qualify for one of those nominations for his pass on Jesse Love.
Absolutely. You can't shake Jesse, though. Jesse's right there.
Looking at the top 10, Cody Coughlin in the 72. We mentioned about him doing a good job in the 72. He started in the back for unapproved adjustments as well. So 2 drivers starting in the back of the field have worked their way up.
Looks like Perez's car is just a little bit too strong. Jesse, even though the draft is pulling him up to Perez, he doesn't get enough of a run, enough momentum to make that bottom move work.
Yeah, we talk about the 2 team and this car winning this race last year with Nick Sanchez. they went on and won the championship. That team was stellar. They were stout all year long, got a couple of wins on the season, and now Nick Sanchez, congratulations to him as a rookie, qualified for the Truck Series playoffs. That'll kick off next Friday night at IRP.
You mentioned Corey Heim, the battle we had last year. He won the regular season championship. Nick Sanchez in the battle. So as much as they battled here on the track, we're going to see him in the Truck Series racing every week through these playoffs to try to earn that first championship.
That's exactly what this series is supposed to do. It develops these drivers so they can be the next stars of the Truck Series, Xfinity, and Cup.
Well, we've got one that's doing double duty this weekend with the 18 of Connor Mozak. And I've noticed this run, he just doesn't seem as strong. The first run we saw him drive from dead last all the way up to P2. And now it seems like he's just stalled out here in third. So Heather, what's he saying about this race car? Why can't he keep moving forward?
Well, during that break, he was reporting that he was a little bit free, so they did make some adjustments to tighten him up. But he also just came back on the radio and said it's gotten way worse, just way too loose. His crew chief, Matt Ross, reminded him it should get better and come to as this run goes, which I'm not sure we've seen so far, but he said he's a little bit loose in, but tight middle off. So they have to make some handling adjustments here on that 18.
And that's one of the things we talked about, Trevor, at the top of the show, was keeping up with the racetrack. This racetrack didn't have a whole lot of rubber down. These guys had a little bit of a practice, and the Xfinity cars had a 20-minute practice plus qualifying. Not that much rubber on the racetrack, and not that much time in that resin where Andres Perez is right now.
Well, and you start to get a lot of shade, right? So you see the front stretch is now completely shaded from the grandstands. As the sun goes down, that changes the balance. Resin is definitely temperature sensitive for sure, but we got a great battle here. This 20 car of Jesse Love is dialed in, whether or not Connor Mozak is or not.
Side by side, they were about a foot off of each other. What a battle here at Michigan. Andres Perez wants to get his first career win. Jesse Love wants to win his 6th race of the season, and they're just not giving up. Jesse Love a little under the weather. Connor Mozak back there in 3rd. And Andy J in 4th. Gus Dean rounds out the top 5. We'll keep our eyes peeled on this battle for the lead. Can Andres Perez hang on? Stay with us for the ARCA Menards Series at Michigan. Sunday morning, the U.S. moves on to the round of 16 at the 2023 FIFA Women's World Cup as they face their biggest challenge yet when they take on perennial rival Sweden. Coverage begins Sunday morning at 4 a.m. Eastern with kickoff at 5 a.m. Eastern. That's on Fox and the Fox Sports app. I know it's early, but we need to get up and support those women. They need a little bit of help to pull this one off. It's been a lot of fun to watch, but caution out here at Michigan for the 3rd time. Scott Melton in the 69 here that he went around for a little bit of a ride.
Michigan driver has had a couple top 10s here before.
He's running 12th, got loose into turn 1 and spun out, went right through the grass. Try to get a good look at it here. Oh, those leaders went around, just got him loose on his outside.
Just pulled that rear end around on that car. Scott's going to do a nice job not making any contact with anything, but that puts us in our window. Most of the guys, crew chiefs told me that the pit window is somewhere around 45 laps. We're in the same situation that we were prior to the end of the first race break. That these guys may decide to pit now and forego stopping. See Mozak pulling around the outside.
Difference there.
Yes, it was.
So Scott Melton, all right. 61-year-old from Rockford, Michigan, continues on trucking. Meanwhile, Andres Perez up front, Jesse Love 2nd. We're under caution for this.
When I'm not racing, gardening gives me a chance to reflect and get some much-needed peace and quiet. My plants remind me to be patient and that sometimes going slow is okay. But outside the greenhouse, fast is more fun. For me, General Tire delivers.
Welcome back to Michigan International Speedway. You're watching the ARCA Menards Series from Michigan. Jamie Little, Phil Parsons, Trevor Bain, and Heather DeBow on pit road with you. We're under caution for the third time, and we had pit stops, but interesting strategy or a mistake, Heather?
Andres Perez, as you see, stayed out. He missed the call to come down pit road. The team was trying to figure out who was coming and who was staying, and unfortunately he did not make it down. So they're going to have to wait until lap 70 to make their adjustments. As you see here on the screen where he misses it, they took a dive down low, and unfortunately he was out front of the field at that point. But he did say he was a little tight, so we can expect them to possibly free him up just a touch. But we'll see how this plays out for the two.
Well, I've got to put that on the team. There's Jamie Jones's crew chief. They know they're in their window. It didn't matter who else was coming in. I thought when we went away to commercial break that everybody on the lead lap was going to pit because they know they're in their window. So that's a huge mistake, and whether they'll be able to overcome it or not, I don't know.
And that's the key to having a plan, sticking to your plan no matter what everybody else does. Because you saw, I mean, Jesse Love played the game. He stayed out wide, left double black marks, turning that thing in the pits so late. So great job by him throwing them off. That's the little things in execution and why we have to race.
Yeah, if he would have telegraphed that move, then Perez may have just instinctively came down pit road. But great job by Jesse Love.
So Andres Perez will lead him. Cody Coughlin, who started in the back of the pack, he stayed out there as well. He's shown in second. The 11 and Morgan Baird stayed out as well. Then everybody behind him basically back through 11th came in and pitted there. Well, each week we highlight a rookie driver, and this week's Bounty Rookie Spotlight is the 15 of Jake Finch. He's had his work cut out for him so far tonight, but an impressive young man. Of course, he's the son of James Finch, longtime owner and the Cup Series and many other different series.
Yeah, huge win at Dover earlier this year in the East Series against a very, very strong field. Jake's a lap down now. We saw the contact he had earlier. He's a lap down with Frankie Muniz, but this is an opportunity if he can get up front and be the first car one lap down. We know we're going to have another caution inside of 10 laps for the race break. So it's an opportunity for Jake maybe to get back on the lead lap and maybe get back in contention for a top 10.
Jake, the 18-year-old from Lynn Haven, Florida, had a great qualifying effort, qualified fourth, but then he got into Frankie Muniz earlier, had that damage, so he has slipped back and gone a lap down.
The worst part in all this, I can't stop thinking about Andreas here leading the race. He knows he has to come down pit road in 10 laps, so he's going to want to lead the race, but he knows right now that mistake is going to put them to the back of the lead lap cars at this next caution.
And who does he have behind him right now? Jesse Love on this restart. Andres Perez, Cody Coughlin leading that inside group.
You know, Andres has to be wondering, now, I didn't pit, and that guy pitted. That's carting right behind me. How can that happen?
And he has fresh tires, right?
Yeah, fresh tires.
You might see him be able to lead with old tires, but he's still got to get fuel. No matter what, we know he can't make it to the end on fuel. He's going to have to come down pit road.
Connor Mosack for Joe Gibbs Racing in that black and white number 18 picked up 3 spots there on the restart. He's into third. They've been working on this race car, Trevor. He just has had his hands full, but now he's had 2 opportunities to work on it.
Yeah, and I've got to guess they took a bigger swing this time. The first time he came in a little bit loose, made an adjustment, got even looser. So as a crew chief, you got to get ahead of it, not just keep up, because that's the last time potentially that you're going to come to pit road. Take a big swing. Get your driver to tell you, well, got a little bit of tight this time.
They will get that competition caution in about 6.5 laps. This race is winding down, just 37 laps to go. Jesse Loves, he knows what he has. They got their tires, got his adjustments. They're good to go.
See, Perez has about 30 laps more on his tires than Jesse Love, and you can see Jesse Love really isn't doing anything with it. So Andres Perez knows that he's going to have a little fresher tires when he comes in around lap 70 for the race break, but that's not going to be enough difference because you can see Jesse Love is really not just mowing them down with those fresher tires.
See that 30 of Frankie Muniz here. Having a little bit of a harder day than he expected, was doing great, but now he's back up to 9th here, Phil, which is a great recovery because he could be easily back to 15th or so with that right front damage, but they've minimized that mistake and have continued fighting.
Yeah, they had cut down that tire at these speeds, got into the wall, but they were able to fix it up. You see the damage on the right front there. Nice job fighting back, but Christian Rose, we haven't mentioned him tonight. And that bright purple number 32, he's worked his way into the top 10.
Yeah, not a huge surprise either. Christian Rose always finds himself in the top 10. Really does a nice job. Actually made his Truck Series debut at Richmond. I know how excited he was for that opportunity. That may lead to some more truck races, but right now Christian's doing a nice job running in the 8th spot.
I know it's a big jump up for these drivers when they go from the ARCA Series into a truck and from a truck to Xfinity. How big of a jump is it for you guys to go from one vehicle to the next and the level of competition around you?
Well, we saw Jesse Love jump in a truck for the first time and had a top 10 finish. He did a great job at Gateway and finished, I think, in the 8th position. And obviously he wins almost every time he gets in one of these ARCA cars, but the fields are just more competitive. There's more of them. It's really, really hard, and it depends on which fence you're jumping, whether it's ARCA to trucks or trucks to Xfinity, Xfinity to Cup. So those fences get higher.
And no matter what step you take, when you come back down a level, I'll call it down a level, you know, it's kind of like our minor leagues here a little bit. You take that step back and you reset with all the things you learned from the next series. And we've seen a lot of one-on-one battles today. Maybe it's Frankie versus Christian here, but when you're in the Truck Series or Xfinity, it's you versus 10 drivers. They're all trying to swarm you at the same time. You're trying to block 3 runs, so it slows everything down a little bit when you come back to ARCA. I will say the aero balance of a truck, it's a little bit more aero dependent on the right side of that thing, that big sail panel it has, so you have to be even more careful when you're on a racetrack. So with an ARCA car, you could be a little more aggressive.
Look how close these top 3 are. Andres Perez, but Jesse Love says, all right, I'm not going to ride anymore. He's putting the pressure on to try to take over that lead.
Look how loose Connor Mozak is still, Jamie.
He's been loose all night long.
I think the important thing right now for Jesse Love is to make sure the 18 of Mozak stays behind him. He doesn't necessarily need to pass the 2 of Perez because he knows the pit stop's going to take care of that. But here he goes anyway. But if he gets down there and loses momentum, if Mozak could be just a little closer, he may use that outside to get by Jesse Love.
Well, and Mozak sees what Jesse Love can do. Jesse goes into the corner. He really yanks on the wheel, turns it down to under the 2 car. Connor can't do that. When you're free on entry, you have to baby the steering wheel. You have to be very smooth. Don't overturn it, or it will jump out from under you. Really hard to hustle a loose race car at a track like Michigan, where you're on the throttle for so long.
We always called it a white knuckle push.
Okay.
Just afraid to turn the steering wheel.
Yeah, that's right.
Got a heck of a battle up front, Heather.
Yes, we do, and Jesse's spotter, Tyler Mon, just reminded him, don't get into too much of a battle here with the 2, because as you guys just said, he is going to have to pit for those tires. But when talking about Jesse and Shannon, they really just like to have a good time at the racetrack. Jesse told me that it's like they're buddies, so he said that's extra motivation to win for his friend, and a little bit of extra motivation here on the pit box. One of the ARCA officials, his grandson Aiden, made them a card today that says good luck and go Jesse and Shannon. It's up on the pit box for him, so maybe that'll give them a little bit of extra luck that they need. But Shannon gives Aiden something from each of their wins, whether it's a hat, or he even told me he gave him one of his setup sheets and told Aiden, hey, this is top secret information, so hold that close to you. So if any secrets get out about the 20 team, we'll know who to go looking for.
Oh, that's so nice. A young fan like that. I mean, when your driver's winning all the time, you're doing something great. Caution is out. Competition caution, second and final one of the race.
Connor Mozak was pushing that 18 car. We kept looking at each other saying, can he hang on to it? But the reason is, as Heather just talked about, he knew that's the battle for the lead after this caution. They're good to go all the way to the end of this race. The 20 car of Jesse Love, even Jake Koyak still running fourth. Strong run for him. But he had to go try to get that lead right there before the caution.
Hearing that Caleb Costner in the 93 got the wall. Ooh, yes, he did.
That thing took a hard right, didn't it, off the corner?
He kept it on the racetrack.
Used every ounce of the racetrack.
Yes, he did. Tires
and some.
So this is the second scheduled caution for the ARCA Menard Series. As we've talked about this storyline over and over again, Andres Perez had missed his shot to come in when the rest of the competitors around him did pit. Pits are open now.
We're hearing that the 10 of Gage Rogers, another Michigan driver, got the free pass. Jake Finch was in that free pass position for a lot of that run, but unfortunately lost it to Gage Rogers.
You can look at Andreas's eyes right now and see he's a little bit dejected, but if I'm in that race car, I'm getting myself fired up. There's 11 cars on the lead lap. I'm coming down to get fresh tires. I'll have 10 lap better tires than the rest of the guys I'm racing. Gonna restart around 11th, and I'm trying to get amped up to go get everything I can on that restart and still be in the hunt to win this thing. It's not over yet. We saw him fight at Pocono, got that damage, fought all the way back to a third place finish with the fender flapping in the wind, so we know he's got some fight in him, but gonna hit pit road here and reset.
And your crew chief's going to tell you that it's perfectly matched set of tires.
Perfect tires, that's right.
Perfect. Go out and get them, buddy. So Andres Perez has led 31 laps in this race. That's the most. Having a great night. Heather, they're coming your way.
And here we see the 72 of Cody Coughlin. They're just reminded him to keep it in second gear in 3400, bringing it down pit road, but they're going to do some adjustments for him and make sure they get it full of fuel. I was talking to his crew chief, Kevin Reed Sr., earlier today, and they said they had a decent day at Pocono. They made a few mistakes, so they're just looking to clean that up a little bit and execute. But this is a brand new team. These good guys have just been kind of thrown together, so they've been really working on communication, even from just unloading the race car to loading it back up at the end of the night. But also we see here the two of Andres Perez, who stayed out earlier. They're just telling him, hey, listen, Jamie Jones said, we did it at Pocono before. We came from the back to the front. So, Trevor, as you mentioned, Andres needed to be pumping himself up. Well, his team is behind him, and they're doing just that right now for that, too.
Yeah, great information. They're thinking like you are, Trevor. He's getting pumped up, keep his driver in the game. They know what kind of car they have, the speed they've had all night long. Final pit stop for Andres Perez. 28 laps to go from Michigan. Who will it be? How will Andres Perez fare? Can he make it all the way to the front? Come back and find out. "74 laps complete here in Michigan." Let's take a look at our Richmond Water Heaters mid-race report, gentlemen.
Here's our initial start. Andres Perez with his first career pole gets the lead.
We're going to have Jesse Love slide right up in front of Perez. Clear enough, he says.
A little bit later. Great battle for the lead here. Jesse Love's going to grab the lead from his teammate, Gus Dean. His first lead of the day.
Right here, we're going to see Frankie Muniz just misjudge a little bit where Jake Finch was going to go on exit. That's not the end of his problem, though, here. His right front goes down, getting into turn 3, high speed. We're going to see him slide up here, barely miss the 97, and right into the fence.
Another battle for the lead. Andres Perez, the 2 on the inside. Jesse Love, the 20 on the outside. Perez is going to grab that lead from Jesse Love.
69 here going around Melton after the leaders go by. And then our most recent caution was a competition caution, but we had an incident at the same time.
And that is your mid-race recap. We've had 4 different leaders this evening. Andres Perez has led the most with 31. Jesse Love with 26. Gus Dean at 16 laps. And Scott Melton, who you saw go around there in the 69, led 1 lap. Here we go. Jesse Love, Connor Mosack in the 18. Connor's had his hands full with the loose car. What can he do with it here on the inside?
Perez restarting 6th, not back to 11th. So fresh tires on this 2 car, 4 wide. Thought better of it. Goes back to 3 wide.
How about Mosack, though? How about Mosack on the inside of the racetrack? Can he hold off Jesse Love? With Chris Wright getting really loose in the 55.
Big side draft here. He's going to pinch him tight to the wall, see if he can't get a run into turn 3.
Incredible battle up front for the lead. Here comes Gus Dean in the 25. Shot out of a cannon. Takes the lead. They're thinking, where did he come from?
The old 2 for 1.
That's right.
Those guys battling side by side just slowed them down. How about Perez now trying to fight back on the inside behind Mosack?
That's the problem with a side draft. If you know there's traffic right behind you on a restart, sometimes you just got to wait a minute, get out, make sure you can clear him for a pass.
I'm still smiling from Gus Dean. Where did he come from? That was certainly a Reese's Sweet Move nominee right there.
How about Gus Dean, the only other former winner in the ARCA Menard Series in the race, in addition to Jesse Love. He's a 2-time winner.
2-time winner in the ARCA Menard Series, and we don't have a single former winner from Michigan, so we're going to have a new face once again in victory lane.
And Connor Mosack was able to get by Jesse Love there for 2nd. He's going to try to track down Dean.
And he's still loose, it looked like.
Breaking news. He has been loose all night, still trying to hold off the 20, Jesse Love, but Andres Perez, who had to come down pit road there, and they get together. Contact. Gus Dean, who had taken the lead, he's into the wall. Connor Mosack to the lead.
We're still green here. 4 wide right now down the backstretch.
Andy Jakowiak going for the lead.
Jakowiak to the lead. Andres Perez on the outside battling for the lead, who just pitted. Jesse Love back there, 3 wide. Connor Mosack. And is that Chris Wright now battling on the outside?
Rather be lucky than good, and Perez is thinking, hey, this strategy worked out perfect. I'm leading with fresh 4 tires right now.
I guess all that cheerleading worked. That was incredible.
It took about 6 laps for him to regain the lead after this restart.
Oh my gosh, Gus Dean, the highlight reel. A twofer and within 5 minutes. Look at this.
Connor Mosack trying to do the same thing. Get that 2 for 1. He's got it too.
Well, Mosack's got to be a little timid right now. The only time we've seen somebody be tied on his door, got massively loose, almost wrecked himself and Gus Dean. So if anybody gets close to his door, he's going to try to separate, get some air on that thing.
He essentially did wreck Gus Dean. Gus Dean got into the outside wall.
Yeah.
Still on the racetrack right now, running 6th.
21 laps to go. Okay, I think we caught our breath. Let's go back and look at exactly what just transpired.
It's going to take our breath again. And we see Mosack just send it. He's going to try to do the same thing, but no room for that. 25 Augustine did a good job trying to stop that run, but Mosack honestly just used too much racetrack there, got into the 25. I don't think Gustine necessarily did anything wrong. He's just going to try to pinch him, and Mosack with a loose race car had to chase it up, gets into his left rear.
I think he was too loose to drive down to the inside. I think his idea was to get all the way to the yellow line, but I think he got too loose. Let's listen to his throttle.
Oh, you can hear the tire squeal.
Yeah. Over the sound of the engine, you can see Gustine into the outside wall.
And the idea is there, with a good handling race car, you can make that move, but with a free car, you turn on the wheel too far, like we said, it's going to jump out from under you.
And after all that transpired, Andy Jakowiak in the 73 shoots out of the cannon. He's still hanging on to 2nd, while Andres Perez, who just pitted, and we wondered if he could get back up to the front or just how far up he could get. Well, here he is leading once again.
He did a nice job. He had a little bit of help too. That incident with Connor Mosack and Gustine certainly helped. But Andy J is doing an outstanding job here. Compared to the cars he's racing with, he probably spends just a fraction on his budget of what these other guys are, and he's right there with them.
Just a few years ago at Daytona, Andy J's dream was to race at Daytona in a stock car. He entered the race, did so well, got so much coverage on FS1. He got some sponsorship. His plan was to sell the car and call it a day and say, okay, I checked that list. He came back and raced multiple times now here the 3rd year, and he's running up front with these drivers.
Connor Mosack trying to grab that 2nd spot from Andy Jakowiak.
Now just keep it there. Bring it home in the top 5 where you've been running and call it a win for that team. I mean, it's really been an incredible run for him as Jesse Love goes to the inside trying to pick up these spots. This is for 3rd right here.
Hey, Andy J's not just going to pull over. I see that side draft on the backstretch. He wants to finish in the top 3, not just the top 5.
What a huge celebration that would be for this team and an accomplishment.
Doing a nice job right now holding off Jesse Love. Just 17 laps to go.
Days like this in racing are the ones that make you take your tip money from delivering pizzas and pour it, plus the rest of your life savings, into racing.
And a second mortgage and other things.
That's exactly right.
And Andy J started off the season 32nd at Daytona. Bad luck there, 18th at Talladega, but 5th and 7th in the last 2 races he's entered. So they've been coming on.
But this is it, right? This is his coming out party right here, Jamie.
Absolutely.
For Trevor, for the job he's done here and the guys he's racing with, just and all over him. This is his coming out party.
I guarantee you his interview will be as animated as whoever the winner is. If he's not the winner, we'll see some animation from him.
Yeah, he'll take off his helmet, throw on the bandana, then he'll be ready to talk to Heather. Connor Mosack is our Sioux Chief fast track driver, basically a driver that started in the ARCA Menard series and moves up to another series in NASCAR, and he's done just that, runs I mean, he's running more than half the series so far for Sam Hunt Racing in the Xfinity Series.
And also running a handful of races for Joe Gibbs as well. Kind of really doing a nice job. And his career has been relatively short. It's only a couple years ago that he made his ARCA debut back in 2021.
He's a road course guy, so ovals have only been as part of his
repertoire.
That's the word I was actually thinking of. Yes.
That was not in my vocabulary, just so you know. I was not thinking that.
But he's figured these ovals out, and of course he's in such great equipment.
I think he's good enough to get there, guys. I think he can run down Perez here. But the concern I have is making the pass with a loose race car. When you can't catch him off guard and turn to the bottom or drive it to their outside, he's got to be so calculated with the move he makes when he gets there. And I'm sure he's already thinking about it. He's trying to size up Perez here, gained another 10th that lap, and he's going to look to the inside. But it's so limiting when you're that loose to actually be aggressive enough to make the pass.
Heather, what are you hearing on Connor Mosack?
Just listening to his spotter, Tony Hirschman, right here. He's trying to get him to execute the pass at the right time around the 2, but they made a lot of adjustments on that 18 for that free condition. I checked in with Matt Ross just a few moments ago, and he said, we did everything: air pressure, track bar, wedge adjustment. So the 18 running a lot better, but right now they're just kind of waiting and playing that game of not making the pass too early and at the right time.
What do they say? If you can hang on to it, loose is fast.
That all sounds good, though, Jamie.
I wouldn't want to be sitting in the seat, but it sure has been fun to watch. He's had his hands full at moments, and here he is battling
another
for the
loose
lead.
driver.
Woo! Jesse Love and Andy Jankowiak.
And he knows he's inside within 15 laps to go to the finish. He wants that podium finish.
Doing a great job holding them off, using everything he can. Going to see Jesse Love dive to the bottom here like we saw Connor Mosack do earlier. Andy J said, no, I'm going to take some air off your right side. Really tight on his door, gets Jesse loose.
Andy Jankowiak's best career finish is 5th. He did that this season at Charlotte. Got a taste of it. He's showing it here. Look at this battle. I mean, I feel like we've just talked about battle after battle for the lead tonight.
You know, you were talking about Connor Mosack with a really loose car. When he catches them, is he able to make the move? I was thinking maybe traffic, maybe could use some lap traffic or whatever to try to get an advantage on the 2 of Perez. Or fast through the middle of the corner there. Wow.
Yeah, if he could just pack it. There he goes. He packed it. He's going to get him really loose. Now, the 2 needs to come down, get on his door side draft here. Don't let him clear you into turn 1. But honestly, kept more momentum than I thought he would for Perez there, as he got that loose and was able to hang on to the advantage.
Side by side as they go through turns 1 and 2. Connor Mosack to the front, leading here tonight for the first time.
Great move by Connor Mosack. But now remember, the same thing can happen. The 2 can do the same thing to Connor Mosack that he just had done to him.
What a run off the corner. Air is as important as a physical contact here. You see him get Perez loose. Never touched him. But might as well have when you get him that loose with air. This onboard will be interesting. See if he has to lift as Perez gets loose. Oh, yeah. And that allowed Perez to stay in the game and continue to challenge. But ultimately, Mosack was able to get by with the next corner and has pulled away already to a 1.3 second lead. That's a big ask in a couple laps.
Another great battle continues up top with Jesse Love on the 20 and Andy J in the 73.
Andy J has been really tough to get around for Jesse Love. Hearing 2 has an issue. Andres Perez, Heather.
It gets worse for Andres Perez. He is down a cylinder. They think he might be blowing up. The team telling him to bring it down pit road right now.
Oh, it's just a heartbreaker.
What a day to fight back from a miscue on pit road to get to the lead. And I've got to think that problem has been escalating for a few laps. It might have been why Connor Mosack was even able to catch him to begin with. Remember, he was on fresher tires and kind of expected him to be able to drive away.
But nonetheless, obviously you can see the smoke trailing now from the 2 car. What a great event it has been for this young 18-year-old. He can come away from here knowing that on a high-speed racetrack that he can run with these guys.
The confidence that today had to build for him. Led the most laps of this race, 43 laps. Like you said, Trevor, he came back from adversity, had that miscue, had to pit out of sequence. And you see his day ending in smoke. 8 laps to go. Connor Mosack continues to lead, who, by the way, talk about adversity. He had to start in the back of the pack, and he has just put on a show tonight with a very loose race car. And he's looking, hoping to win his first career ARCA race. But wait a minute. Caution. Out for the 5th time.
Well, it's not going to be a cakewalk now. I was looking, and Jesse Love had gained 2/10 that last lap, had just cleared Andy J, and now a caution. Re-rack them. We don't know who's going to be able to win this thing now.
What we talk about at the top of the show, how important restarts are. We're going to have a big one here shortly.
And obviously there's fluid on the track, and that is why the caution is out as Andres Perez brings it to a stop.
You can see Perez right there slowing down inside of the racetrack. Let's listen to his onboard. Yeah, you can hear that engine laying down right now, can't you, Trevor?
That's a bad feeling as a driver here, and it's going to get worse.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah. Some really important stuff inside that engine. Let go.
Oh, man. You hate it for him. But like you said, there's so many positives to take away. 9 races remain in the season, so certainly not out of it. I think his day's coming, guys.
No doubt about it, and you hate to see somebody lose one over something like that. So few laps to go, inside 10 to go.
And I just wonder if maybe when we saw Connor gain so much through the center of the corner, I wonder if maybe that thing was going sour then.
Well, you have so much on throttle time here. It's really hard on the engines. And no doubt about it, I think that's how Connor was able to get to his left rear.
Well, 7 laps to go. Can Connor Mosack, the driver out of Charlotte, North Carolina, hang on and take home his first career ARCA win? Stay with us. ARCA Menard Series Racing on FS1 is brought to you by General Tire. General Tire delivers the freedom to explore. And by Reese's. Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. Reese's, not sorry. A beautiful evening in the Irish Hills. It's been a great sight. No rain. Perfect weather. It's been lower 80s, about 82, 83 degrees here. And Victory Lane. So the fans could all celebrate. Who will be the man to celebrate there? We'll find out. We have just a few laps to go. How about these former winners here?
Yeah, Ty Dillon, Chris Buescher.
Ross Kenseth.
Most recent Cup winner back there with Chris Buescher and Brandon Jones.
Yeah, he won a couple times. Yeah, Sheldon Creed on the way to his championship season.
Riley Herbst won just a few years ago, and Ty Gibbs in 2021.
How crazy that 2 years ago he was in the ARCA series. Now he's running Cup cars every week.
Dominated.
For a playoff spot.
And you know, Jesse Love, his numbers, and Phil talked about at the top of the show, I mean, very similar to what Ty Gibbs did in this series.
Yeah, without a doubt, Ty was the guy that won 5 of the first 10 races in that year in 2021 on the way to his championship.
I love in the ARCA series, I want to give a little credit to some of these teams because you can plug and play. We talk about Andres Perez, Nick Sanchez almost won here last year. Then you see Perez do a great job this year. The 20 car of Corey Heim. Now you put Jesse Love in, the 18 of Mosack. You know, these cars have been so competitive for so long, and these guys do such a great job of developing our next talent. And that's what this series is all about, is helping these young drivers that, as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, are used to short tracks. Now they get to come to Michigan. Are you kidding me? A 2-mile racetrack that Cup cars are going to run on Sunday, and they get out here and learn early and be on TV, do interviews with people like you, Jamie.
Yes, that's right. That's what they look
That's where
forward
I
to.
learned
Yeah, right. That's right. You were just a pup back then when I got to interview you. But yes, I mean, the Xfinity drivers were out there today. The Cup drivers are out. So these guys are rubbing shoulders with all of them. And I mean, it's got to be just one of those pinch me moments, like for an Andy Jankowiak to be like, I am racing at the same place as these stars.
Oh yeah, but the lineage here in the ARCA Menard series, this is worth so many of these drivers get the opportunity to race on a super speedway like Michigan at speeds upwards of 185 miles an hour, over 190 down in the corner. You don't get to do that at your local short tracks, and so many of our drivers that we have now in the Cup Series, Xfinity, whatever, came through this area, came through the ARCA Menard series.
Hey, we were talking about the history of the sport. I just want to have a tip of the hat to our Hall of Fame class of 2024. We voted this week Jimmie Johnson and Chad Knaus going in together, Donnie Allison, and of course Janet Guthrie was voted in as well. So congratulations to them.
Absolutely, all great choices too.
And I love Donnie Allison. He was my crew chief for about 2 years, and he would yell at me every week. I won like 12 of 19 races that year in the Allison Legacy Series, and every week he would say, Trevor, I'm going to put a big red light on your dash, and if you touch the brake pedal, that thing's going to light up, and I'll know for sure. But he would yell at me, get on to me. I called him Grandpa Donnie for a long time, so really pumped for him.
You know, I think that's something that I had to learn, how much influence Donnie has had on so many young drivers. And, you know, Joey Logano is another one that talks about Donnie and his influence on his career. He did a lot for the sport, but a lot of people will know there's a fight in turn 4. That was Donnie Allison and Cale Yarbrough, correct?
And Bobby came along as well.
And the brother, yes.
That doesn't surprise me a bit about Donnie, because I thought he might fight me a few times, you know, put me in a headlock. So.
Saying he's scrappy?
He's very candid. He'll tell you exactly what he's thinking, and I love that about him.
But Donnie was there, and when the announcement was made,
awesome.
and just to see that emotion with his wife, it was a great moment.
You know, guys, we've talked about this series and what it can lead to, and again, the lineage in the ARCA Menard series. It goes back. 1953 was the first year of the ARCA series, and these are some of the drivers that have moved up. My big brother Benny won the championship in 68 and 69. You see Justin Allgaier now fighting for Xfinity championships every week. Back in 08, Ty Dillon, we saw him earlier. Chris Buescher, who just won last week in the Cup Series. Chase Briscoe, already winner in the Cup Series. Sheldon Creed, Truck Series champion. And Ty Gibbs, obviously, we know what he's done and getting better and better in that Cup car every week.
Looking for that Rookie of the Year in the Cup Series. Ty was on the pit box for Connor Mosack a little while ago. I imagine he's probably pacing somewhere right now, wants to see his buddy go to victory lane for the first time.
Ty does a great job of engaging and being friends. You know, Sammy Smith, you see Connor Mosack, he spends a lot of time with him, but it's because he's their age. I mean, he's a young guy getting to do some really cool things in the Cup Series.
Guys, this is going to be a one-lap shootout. They're going to get the green and the white at the same time. Again, if ARCA can run the prescribed distance, that's what they're going to do. We've completed 98 laps. They'll come by the next time to complete 99. It'll be one more lap. It'll green-white checker. Now, if we get a caution on that lap, then we'll do it over again. But right now, it's going to be a one-lap shootout for the win.
And it's unlimited attempts, so we'll end this baby hopefully under green. But they've held it together pretty well tonight.
And Jesse Love's restarts have been phenomenal this whole race. He's obviously second now. He's not controlling this start. Connor Mosack is. But if he can just stay even getting to turn 1, I think he's going to have a good shot to drive it in there and clear himself on exit.
Remember, Connor Mosack has his hands full with that super loose race car on the outside. Jesse Love on the inside, but he's been so good on the restarts. Jesse trying to win his 6th race of the season. Been under weather today.
Don't count out Andy Jankowiak.
Oh, big push on the outside.
Up. Connor Mosack, 3 wide, loses track position. Andy Jankowiak, they're wrecking behind him. Jake Finch goes around.
Flagman has not put out the yellow flag yet.
We've got cars stuck in the grass here.
Jeffrey Maxink is the one you saw in the grass, but we're staying under green on the final lap here. Jesse Love had a great restart.
Jankowiak still fighting off Gus, or 55 there, Chris Wright. Caution's going to come out, though.
We're going to do it again.
Look at Gus Dean in the 25. Has led this race a couple of times, got into the wall. Now he's found himself back. The 65, that's who you saw in the infield grass.
And keep in mind, this race isn't over like our normal races where caution comes out, 1 to go, it's over. But right now we're going to try it all over again.
And we'll do it again for another 1-lap restart.
Oh,
Jake
man.
Finch, big damage to the front end of this 15.
A lot of debris coming out from under that car. Probably will extend this caution period.
Now, the scoring is going to be very important here. We saw Mosack get back to 3rd after that big wiggle on the restart with a huge push, so we'll see where everybody lines up at. But if he's going to have a shot, he's hoping that he's 3rd.
Did Chris Wright just get in the back of him before he could even go?
You know, Jesse Love went a little bit before the 18 of Mosack, which isn't you know, that's not okay in NASCAR's eyes. He would have gotten a penalty for that typically. But when he goes a little bit, the rest of the cars start to roll, and as soon as he gets the back tires off the ground of that 18 car, he's just not going anywhere.
Andy J was almost pushed sideways. He was able to hang on. Chris Wright in the 55. Let's watch it from this angle.
Yeah, and you know, the way the 18 was jacked up, it kind of made it look worse, like Jesse Love jumped the start. But honestly, they kind of went at the same time. Back tires are off the ground. You're not moving.
And as you mentioned, we don't have sports media television here, so we're not able to go back and analyze data to see when each of them launched.
So they'll do it once again. We'll re-rack them, the green and white together. A lot of damage there. So we're under caution. For the 6th time, we'll have another one-lap shootout. We'll see who it is. Maybe Gus Dean, maybe Jesse Love. This Women's World Cup, Fox Sports is proud to partner with Common Goal and the U.S. Women's National Team to prioritize mental well-being at every level of the game. To learn how you can support this initiative, text USWNT to 44321. And the fans are on their feet. They know they get to witness another one-lap shootout as we will bring them together, green and white together. But if we get another caution, we'll do it again.
We saw Chris Wright. It was actually stalled on the racetrack. And, you know, remember when we pitted back on lap 59 before we had the second race break, that we said, well, these guys are all there in the window now, but we're not counting for a bunch of overtime laps. I'm thinking maybe the 55 car of Chris Wright possibly ran out of fuel. We said the pit window is somewhere around 45 laps. Well, we've run 44 laps now. Again, a lot of those laps caution laps, but nonetheless, it could be an issue for some of these other drivers.
Hey, look at this lineup right here, guys. We've got Frankie Muniz in the top 5. After all the adversity he's been through today, we saw him shaking his head after he and Jake Finch got together. Now he's P4, never had a top 5 in the ARCA Menards series, and he's going to fight for it right here for one lap.
How about Morgan Baird? We haven't talked at all about Morgan Baird, that 11 car. He's right now shown in the 6th spot. I think he has 2 top 10 finishes in his career, and they both came here at Michigan.
One of 6 Michigan drivers in the field.
He finished 7th in this race back 2 years ago and 10th last year.
Well, Billy Venturini's got a good shot up here on the front row. 2 cars. Gus Dean, Jesse Love.
You know what's interesting? So in all the history here, Venturini Motorsports history, they only have 4 wins. Can you guess what was the last year Venturini Motorsports went to victory lane here?
Well, it wasn't the last 2 years. Probably Michael Self, maybe?
Almost. 2014.
2014?
Austin Terrio.
Wow. Austin
Remember
Terrio.
him?
Oh, yeah.
So I know that would be a big one for them to get. Like you said, we're in the manufacturer's backyard for so many of the manufacturers, but for Toyota to come in town and put a whooping on is always a good, exciting battle.
Jesse Love's just happy he is the control car now. He can go when he wants to. Saw him kind of have to hold back and pedal when Connor Mozak had the rear tires off the ground. He's going to slow this thing way down, make Gus Dean have to get out of the gas right before the restart zone.
These restarts have been incredible. Jesse Love, Gus Dean, Frankie Muniz, and Andy Jankowiak.
Another huge restart, maybe a race-winning restart for Jesse Love.
Connor Mozak with a big push to Andy J. Trying to get some momentum. Here comes the 18, 3 wide.
Andy's a little bit loose. He hangs on to it.
The final lap from Michigan International Speedway. Can Gus Dean, Andy J, Connor Mozak, can they do anything to stop the 20?
Look at Frankie Muniz trying to grab that 4th spot from Andy J.
It's been a fairy tale season for the young driver Jesse Love. Checker flag comes out, Jesse Love wins it. For the 6th time this season, he finds victory lane.
How about Andy Jankowiak with a P4, Frankie Muniz first top 5. I want to see all 3 of these guys. We got to see who's celebrating more.
I mean, that's a win for Frankie Muniz, especially after cutting the tire, getting into the wall earlier, thought their day was done, gets his first career top 5.
And Andy J running with those guys. this entire race, doing a great job.
Absolutely. He did not luck into that one. He ran with them time and time again, restart after restart. But in the end, that's what this team has been doing. Shannon Rush, Jesse Love, they find a way.
Yeah, Billy Venturini told me yesterday restarts are critical. We lost this race last year with that 20 car on the restart. They won it this time.
It wasn't a struggle today, I'll tell you that. Jesse Love just continues to impress in all areas. I mean, his car control, his feedback to the crew chief, to Shannon Rush there. Yep, I think about that for a second. And then, you know, just being able to move this car around in the air all day long, just great execution from a young driver.
And Phil, you talked about how many times he's been at a racetrack for the first time and finds victory lane. Does it again here tonight. As he continues the burnouts, he's getting pretty good at those.
He's had a lot of practice this year.
We have some great nominees for our Reese's Sweet Move of the race. Here they are. First nominee.
Right here, we're going to see a tight squeeze on exit. Jesse Love clearing himself. Was able to do that a lot today. Drive right by him.
Yeah. Number 2, when Frankie Muniz had trouble, got together with Jake Finch. Here's a contact right there. We're going to get down to turn 3. Frankie Muniz doesn't realize he has a flat right front tire. And watch the 97 of Jason Kitzmiller as Frankie's going to get down to the corner, and that car won't turn, and Kitzmiller feels that and moves up the racetrack and gave him more room.
All right, well, this was the clutch move of the race, if nothing less. If it's not the sweet move, last restart, Jesse Love did what he did all day. Another great restart, and ultimately is able to walk away with the win.
Great night for that driver. And you could tell right there, not feeling well. He's been under the weather, but he still found a way. Heather DeBow, Jesse Love, he had to earn that one.
Yes, he did. And Jesse Love, you can see how hard he worked for this race. The team right now giving him some ice to cool him off a little bit. His cool suit wasn't working. The helmet hose came off. A big hug here for his crew chief, Shannon Rush. As I said before, these guys are like buddies. It's not work for them. This is fun to come to the racetrack and get wins together. And they are certainly doing that as we let Jesse sit down here and kind of catch his breath. Win number 6 on the season for him. All right, he gave me the go-ahead. All right, Jesse, obviously you're feeling it now, but let's go back through that race a little bit. A lot of hard work went into it, a lot of battles, especially those restarts at the end. So just kind of tell us what you can as you catch your breath.
Yeah, just a lot of good guys around us, and you know, it's tough. Like, obviously, yeah, I lost our cool suit and lost the helmet blower, so my feet blower went out from my, you know, the heat that you get, and just everything. I mean, I feel like I'm in pretty good shape. I go on runs with my dog Buck every day, so. And CQ's and they yell at me when she sees how messed up I am. But no, I mean, with this right side window, we're so hot in here, and just it's a lot easier. I got a phenomenal crew chief in Shannon Rush that just makes my job really easy. And Billy Venturini gives us all the resources we need. Huge thank you to JBL and Harmon and everybody at Toyota Racing. I'm definitely worn out, but it definitely feels good. So I just want to give all the glory to God. You know, Shannon came over the radio and told me that he was looking out for me and going to give me some extra energy. And yeah, just God's a big, important part of my life, and I want to say to my mom and dad back home.
Congratulations to Jesse Love, your winner here at Michigan. Jamie?
Incredible effort for that team. Congratulations to Jesse Love. He picks up his 6th win of the season, as you see the points here. But Frankie Muniz, best career finish, moves into 2nd in points. We thank you for watching us here tonight. For Phil Parsons, Trevor Bayne, Heather DeBow, I'm Jamie Little. We'll see you next Friday from IRP, 6 p.m. on FS1. Good night.